Calaroga Shark Media.
From Arizona, where RFK just endorsed Trump, this is Ballot.
That's right. And Cheryl Hines, if you're listening, why be married to a Kennedy when you can date a guy decades younger who has his own podcast? Okay, let's hit this. So, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. decided to endorse Donald Trump, and in classic fashion, he did it in the most roundabout way possible, by spending 20 minutes ranting about the media and the Democratic Party before getting to the point. Honestly, at this rate, he could have run a marathon in the time it took him to say, "I'm backing Trump." But here's the kicker. MSNBC and CNN couldn't even be bothered to stick around for the big reveal. Both networks pulled the plug on his rambling speech, opting to monitor it instead. Translation: they had better things to do, like watching paint dry. CNN dipped out right when RFK Jr. started taking shots at Kamala Harris, because apparently even cable news has its limits. And over at Fox News? Well, they were the only ones who gave Kennedy the full spotlight, up until he finally endorsed Trump. After that, even they decided they had heard enough and cut away. But the real zinger? Even Trump himself didn't stick around to hear Kennedy out. As soon as the endorsement was in the bag, Trump moved on to his own event in Las Vegas. "I want to thank Bobby," Trump said, probably as he checked his watch. "That was nice. Really, really nice. A great guy. He's respected by everybody," he added, which sounds a lot like what you say about someone you barely know at a wedding reception. "Hey, Bobby, you know you're being played by Trump, right? Like there's zero chance you ever hear from the guy again." Cheryl Hines just can't catch a break. After RFK Jr. threw in the towel on his presidential campaign, blaming the media, of course, Cheryl took to Twitter to offer a heartfelt thank you to everyone who worked so tirelessly and lovingly on his campaign. Naturally, Twitter trolls pounced, pointing out that she accidentally said her husband's presidency was suspended. Freudian slip or wishful thinking. Either way, it was like handing the internet a big, shiny gift-wrapped present. Now, if you've been following the saga of Cheryl and RFK Jr., you know this isn't her first rodeo in trying to clean up after his messes. Remember when he compared vaccine mandates to the Holocaust, and Cheryl had to come out and say, "Yeah, that was reprehensible"? Or the time he blamed chemical exposures for transgender kids. Ah, romance. But this latest Trump endorsement really takes the cake. Cheryl, who once called Trump ridiculous and disrespectful, now has to deal with the fact that her husband is cozying up to the very guy she thought she couldn't survive 4 years of. Guess that conversation at home just got a whole lot more awkward. As if it weren't already hard enough being married to the king of conspiracy theories, now Cheryl has to deal with people speculating that she's drawing up divorce papers. "Hey Cheryl, I'm available, and we would both have crazy exes. We can compare notes. Is RFK texting you right now asking, 'Are you flirting with Cheryl Hines?' Is that what you do?" "Yes, Norma, it is. Have you seen Cheryl Hines?" Kennedy, during his speech, claimed that Trump had asked him to enlist him in his administration, although he was a bit murky on the details. Apparently, it's something to do with the chronic disease epidemic. But Kennedy's not going away quietly. He said he'd stay on the ballot in most states, except for the swing states because, logic. When Trump was asked about Kennedy staying on the ballot, his response was about as clear as a magic 8-ball answer. "Well, I think they're trying to get off ballots. I mean, we'll see." Translation: Trump has no idea what's going on, but he's pretending he does. But of course, Trump couldn't resist a jab at the Democrats, claiming they treated Kennedy very badly, and suggesting that if Kennedy had run in the Democratic primary, he would have beaten Biden. As for what cabinet position RFK will be getting from Trump, how about Secretary of Psych? Stay tuned after these commercials. There's a rumor that Beyonce is going to appear on today's podcast. Well, it turns out that Beyonce was never scheduled to be on today's podcast. Oh well. Jimmy Fallon joked, "A lot can change in a month." Right now, Kamala's campaign headquarters are buzzing, while Biden's have been turned into a spirit Halloween. Donald Trump, a guy who famously avoids alcohol like it's a tax audit, just took a deep dive into the world of cocaine, on a podcast no less. Yep, the former president, who claims he's never even had a sip of beer, was suddenly very curious about the white stuff during an interview with comedian Theo Von. The two were chatting about addiction when Trump casually asked Theo how he got hooked on drugs. Theo, who's in recovery, goes, "I just do cocaine." Trump, in his best cool dad mode, laughed and said, "That's down and dirty, right?" Like he's trying to relate to the kids these days. Then he asked if Theo still does cocaine, or if it got too much to handle. Because apparently, Trump thinks drug addiction is like ordering too much at McDonald's. Theo, probably wondering if this was a real conversation or some kind of fever dream, explained how cocaine started making him feel like a mechanic. Trump, ever the scholar, asked, "Is cocaine a stronger up?" Which has to be the most Trump way of asking about getting high. Theo's response? "Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie." That's right, folks. If Trump was taking notes, he learned that cocaine is for people who want to be their own street lamps. But Trump, not quite getting the message, kept digging, asking if that's a good feeling. Theo shot him down, saying it's horrible, but you do it anyway, kind of like watching one of Trump's rallies. After this enlightening drug talk, Trump, who's never had a glass of alcohol in his life, wanted to know if it's harder to quit drugs or booze. Because, hey, why not turn this into a 12-step meeting? Theo joked about go-kart racing with hookers, which is a sentence I'm sure has been uttered at a Trump property before. But Trump got serious, reflecting on his brother, Fred Jr., who struggled with alcoholism. He said Fred taught him not to drink, which Trump took to heart, probably because he needed a clear head for all those late-night Twitter rants. Portions of today's program were made with the help of AI. Like this note asking Cheryl Hines out, "Hey Cheryl, I've been thinking, how about we turn our next conversation into a date? Dinner maybe? I promise to keep the witty banter coming." Back tomorrow with another episode. This isn't crooked media where producers make 80 grand and get 9 weeks vacation. We work for a living around here.